This video will introduce you to a book that will guide you toward basketball shooting excellence. Have you ever heard a better sound on the basketball court than the ball swishing through the net? This could be you. Hello, my name is Robert Auchinfuss, former East Hampton High School and Wilkes College basketball player and coach at Penridge High School in Percy, Pennsylvania. I'm the author of a new instructional basketball shooting book entitled Quest for the Net. I'm out here on the playgrounds of America, or it could be in the driveways of many homes in our country, where the game of basketball is first introduced to youngsters. It is in such places that kids have the initial experience of shooting the basketball. It is here, in doing so, they begin to develop either good or bad habits in attempting to put this ball through that hoop.
Two very successful coaches have written forewords in support of this book. Dean Behrens is the head coach of the Penridge High School boys basketball team in Percy, Pennsylvania. He is the 2019 Pennsylvania 6A Coach of the Year. William Bo Ryan, a teammate of author Bob Auchinfuss at Wilkes College, is the former head men's basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville and the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
I want you to know that Quest for the Net has taken me several years to write. I put a lot of time, effort, thought, and research into finally deciding what to include within its contents. The book is currently available for purchase in both paperback and in Kindle ebook formats on the Amazon.com website. The book begins with teaching the art and science of free throw shooting. There is a good reason why shots taken after a player has been fouled during the play of a game are called free throws. They are a free opportunity to score points for one's team. No one is playing defense while the shot is being taken, and the distance to the front of the rim is always the same. It is important to note that what can be learned about shooting from the foul line can be seamlessly transferred to learning to shoot from the floor. There are, however, notable differences to contend with. With a jump shot, the shooting motion is within the flow of the game, and a player completely leaves the surface of the court. On the other hand, with a foul shot, a player has 10 seconds to shoot the ball, and the action is static. My reason for writing Quest for the Net stems from the frustration of watching games at all levels of basketball where players are generally very poor in shooting from the floor and especially from the free throw line. What happens to a player's shooting percentage when they move away from the basket and need to be able to shoot mid-range and three-point shots? If you love to play basketball, I'm not aware of any great shooters out there who are confined to the bench. Wouldn't you like to reach your true potential and become a complete and versatile player? Do you have the passion to become a great shooter? Do you seek the consistency of being able to shoot the ball into the basket time after time? I'm here to tell you that anyone who possesses a decent amount of athletic ability can master these skills and the mindset to do so. With attention to the basic details, correct mechanics, a positive mental outlook, and the application of hard work, you too can learn to shoot a basketball extremely well. I've written this book with both players of all ages and coaches in mind. Let me ask you several very important and telling questions. Are you able to accurately describe your shooting motion? At the present time, how successful are you in shooting the ball into the basket? Is your method reliable, and are your shooting statistics top-notch? Do you shoot well under the pressure of game conditions? When you do miss a shot, are you able to figure out why you did so? After learning the proper mechanics, as a dedicated and knowledgeable player, wouldn't you want to be able to correct mistakes on your own? This book represents my attempt to gather everything I've learned about shooting the basketball as both a player and as a coach over the past 50+ years, arrange it into a concise package, and to share this information with you.
How might a player combine the physical and the mental aspects of shooting? As a younger elementary or middle school player, I might add, it is best to learn the correct shooting skills from the very beginning so that poor habits don't develop and then have to be replaced later on.
Why settle for just being good when you could be great? Why not be willing to make some needed changes in order to improve your performance? If there is one thing I have learned over the years, it is that great shooters are not born into greatness. My thought that is great shooters are made through attention to the proper basics and continued effort. Remember, in considering change and personal growth, Albert Einstein defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over again while expecting different results. If you're a poor shooter, keep in mind that statistics don't lie. There are reasons for being a poor shooter. Why not seek a different approach? So exactly how might buying, reading, and putting into practice what this book has to say help you become a great shooter? Let's now look at a brief preview of the contents of Quest for the Net.
In coaching and playing game-winning basketball, should you need any further convincing concerning the need to develop great shooting, Chapter 1 focuses on the sharing of interesting statistical information that ties together the importance of intelligent, team-oriented defense and quality free throw shooting. 2 case studies are cited. The first scenario encompasses all 63 games of the 2019 NCAA Division I Men's National Championship Tournament that was won by the University of Virginia. The second scenario examines free throw statistics from the 2019 NBA Finals between the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. I think you will find these results interesting, enlightening, and supportive of what I am attempting to teach. As stated on the cover of the book, Quest for the Net lists 10 separate elements that once learned, mastered, and combined together will help transform a player into a consistently excellent shooter. It's my opinion that these instructional elements can be divided into 2 separate sections, the physical and the mental. Physical approach chapters first break down and separately explain each of the individual physical mechanics or ingredients necessary for success. Once this has been accomplished, the player will then be shown how to blend all the elements together to create a harmonious, unified whole. This effort requires going through a process which, hopefully, players will enjoy, especially once they experience improvement. In the end, each of the separate parts must fit together seamlessly like those in a completed jigsaw puzzle. You will discover that the physical and mental parts will become intertwined and feed off of each other. Working on 5 elements and leaving out one will be damaging. Paying attention to and incorporating each and every one of the physical ingredients will maximize the player's opportunity to become a great shooter.
The physical approach section presents a 6-element tutorial connected with shooting the basketball. To accomplish this goal, each element is covered in a separate chapter. The idea is to keep everything as simple and as visual as possible. Think of it as a positive do list rather than a do not list of basic mechanics or fundamentals. The basic fundamentals are clearly explained and instruction is presented in a way that is simple and easy to understand. In the process, there are interesting comparisons made with the sports of golf, baseball, and football. The idea is to make what the player does physically both repeatable and consistent, and to tie it together with a sport they might already know about.
Chapter 3 contains over 20 numbered colored photos that give the reader visual reinforcement for each of the fundamentals that are discussed, and to help the player connect them with the writing descriptions contained in the chapters. What are the roles of the shooting and non-shooting hands? Each hand has a separate function or role to play. Chapter 4 covers the shooting hand, while Chapter 5 does so for the non-shooting or guide hand. The proper placement of these two hands and fingers on the ball is extremely critical. How can the player properly position their feet, shoulders, and shooting arm elbow so that he can shoot the ball straight up toward the rim? Correctly positioning the feet and shoulders assists balance, alignment, and aim. This subject is covered in Chapter 6. How can the player generate power so as to increase his range in shooting? Power and range must derive primarily from proper usage of the legs, but as you will come to understand in Chapter 7, is also generated right up from the floor through the trunk and arms. How can a player create just the right release angle and arc trajectory in order to give the ball the greatest opportunity of entering the basket? Creating the correct release angle and resulting arc trajectory can be accomplished through the use of smartphone technology and, in a non-technological way, by becoming familiar with a practical shooting drill that is explained in detail. This often neglected subject is covered in Chapter 8. What is target consciousness and why is it so important? Getting this right involves aiming at a small, specific target. If you aim at nothing, that's just exactly what you will hit. How to accomplish this task with your eyes is discussed in Chapter 9.
Cerebral approach mastery comes next. It is crucial to understand that the physical and mental parts of the game are inseparable. One influences the other. Together, the next several chapters contain my thoughts concerning the mental approach involved in shooting. 4 separate elements are discussed. This interrelated information allows the player to push the above-mentioned shooting mechanics to the next level of achievement. You might argue that completing these cerebral actions is unnecessary, but I can assure you they are essential.
The simulation of game conditions, the subject of Chapter 10, will help the player to bridge the performance gap between practice and competitive game situations. Many drills are discussed here, as well as the importance of team scrimmaging. The establishment of a personalized pre-shot routine, covered in Chapter 11, is a step-by-step process that will help transform a static situation into a reactive one, reduce stress, and help the player eliminate and or block outside distractions. The player becomes free to focus entirely on the task of shooting the basketball. To be most effective, it needs to be personalized by the player. Rehearsal of a free throw, the topic of Chapter 12, allows the player to have a last-minute psychological practice of the shot from start to finish before the actual attempt. This is akin to taking a practice swing in golf. Visualization is a positive, mental imagery approach that aids an athlete toward the successful completion of body motions. This element, the subject of Chapter 13, helps a player to make shots when it counts and is a must-read if you want to reach your full potential and become a better shooter. A guided imagery visualization is provided as an example in Chapter 14. As with the pre-shot routine, it would be most effective and meaningful if each player would create his own personal visualization. Chapter 15 contains a section on biddy basketball and why, at an early age, it is exceedingly important to learn the basic fundamentals on a scaled-down court. This can be accomplished by the use of a rim that is of an age and strength-appropriate height and a ball that is sized and weighted appropriately to the player's hand size and overall physical development. Chapter 15 also highlights 10 common shooting technique flaws that lead to shooting inaccuracy and a lack of consistency. The idea is to get the player to move away from these mistakes and progress in the right direction toward the correct shooting elements. They will be able to receive and learn the correct information needed to promote success. In this manner, right from the very beginning, an attentive young player will be able to get off to a solid start. Concluding Chapter 16 covers drills the player can immediately begin to work on refining and reinforcing the shooting elements they have learned. Adding the 5 offensive moves around the basket that are explained here will help the player to become a very complete, competent, and dangerous scorer. With effort, practice, and a great attitude, a player's performance can then reach an appropriate competitive game level. So, after viewing this video, which basketball shooting suggestion do you think you would want to work on first? Please let me know by leaving a comment below. I'm not a celebrity or well-known coaching figure. However, I guarantee that you simply cannot go wrong by purchasing, reading, and benefiting from the contents of Quest for the Net. The ball is in your court. Thanks for watching.